Congress just proposed a new bill called the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, here's a quick snapshot of everything that's included inside of this new bill. Now, a big question for many of us based on the name of this bill, will this actually do anything to reduce inflation? Well, no, but it does increase healthcare subsidies for retirees and thus will lower healthcare costs. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, this bill does have some slight adjustments to Medicare, but the main healthcare cost relief is going to come in the way of changes made to the Affordable Care Act system. So for those that retire prior to 65 and don't have a long continuation with healthcare insurance from their work, many need to enter the public marketplace, Affordable Care Act insurance. Now, with the Affordable Care Act marketplace, you can earn a large enough subsidy to effectively lower your monthly healthcare costs down to zero. Now, there have been a few different changes within the Affordable Care Act landscape over the past couple years. In 2020, we had something called the Subsidy Cliff. I'll talk about what that is a little bit further into this video, but then because of the American Rescue Plan in 21 and 22, we essentially had something called the Subsidy Slope. Now, we're set to go back to this less forgiving Subsidy Cliff here in 2023 if there are no changes made. But the Inflation Reduction Act extends this Subsidy Slope out till 2025, giving retirees further relief, thus allowing them to earn a larger subsidy. Now, the amount that you pay on ACA insurance is determined by something called your reported income. And there are a lot of things that count against you. So every dollar of Social Security benefits counts against you. Pension income, IRA distributions. The only thing that really doesn't count against you are Roth withdrawals. And so under the subsidy cliff that we're expected to see in 2023 without any changes, earning a healthcare subsidy becomes a lot more difficult. Because once you earn over 400% of the federal poverty level, which for a single filer is $54,360, for a married filer would be $73,240, you essentially fall off this subsidy cliff. Now, you may go from earning a $500 per month subsidy to completely losing it if you go over this reported income mark. And so this makes it very difficult to plan and take the income that you ultimately want in those early years before Medicare. Now, there are some ways you can artificially keep your reported income low, but nonetheless, it gets a lot more difficult when we're planning underneath the subsidy cliff. Well, this subsidy slope that we've seen over the last 2 years that may be extended to 2025 as part of this bill essentially eliminates this subsidy cliff. And now rather than there being a drop off from earning that subsidy once you show a little bit too high of reported income, it now slopes fairly linearly so you can show much higher income. As you can see on the graph on the screen, a retiree can show more than $100,000 of reported income and still earn a subsidy. This subsidy slope allows retirees to take more income from their accounts without having to worry as much about that cliff and the reported income that they're showing, allows them to at least perform a little bit more in terms of Roth conversions, and just really allows them a little bit more flexibility when it comes to income planning in those early years of retirement. Now, understand that the more income you show, the more your subsidy will fade out. With every additional dollar, you lose a little bit of that subsidy. And so there's still a cost to showing higher income. For instance, when we translate that subsidy slope to your tax graph, here's a snapshot of what your tax graphs may look like based on your healthcare plan. So what you'll see here in the purple is as we show higher income, as we start to lose that subsidy, there are varying points where we will see a marginal spike. Notice that once we start fading out that subsidy, our marginal rate goes from 17% and rises as high as 37%. Now, we see just looking at this tax graph that the subsidy does not fade out perfectly linearly. We can see that there are some varying points where we will see marginal spikes, and then it will go back to some more preferred rates, if you will. So we see once we rise above that 37% marginal rate, it falls back down to 20.5%, which is much more forgiving. At that point, as we start to scale additional brackets, as we start to show additional income, we still have that subsidy that's fading out. But understanding as we start tax planning, you can show more income than you otherwise could have underneath that subsidy cliff. So big picture, this is a big win for retirees, specifically those retiring prior to 65. As part of this bill, another change that would be added on specifically to Medicare would be allowing Medicare to negotiate on certain drug prices and capping out-of-pocket costs at $2,000. Now, what impact will that ultimately have? We'll have to see. But this bill has not yet been passed. It has just been proposed, but the proposers of this bill expect there to be majority support and expect this to be passed relatively quickly. Now, if you're someone who wants to learn a little bit more about ACA insurance and how you can tax efficiently withdraw from your accounts and also potentially perform Roth conversions to save on healthcare subsidies. We have a video right here that we recorded about a year ago talking about this exact topic and how you can earn $1,000 per month added subsidy by really managing your situation in the best way. Thanks for watching. Always remember, you don't need more money, you need a better plan.